This is the Zhiyun M20C, a compact video light full of awesome features and accessories that rivals some of the best lights in the game. Zhiyun sent me this light for early review and testing, but they have no input on this video and they have no idea what testing I'm gonna do. Also, they paid me $0 to do this review. If I didn't like this light, I wouldn't even put out the review. But actually, this thing is incredible and I think it's gonna serve my filmmaking community really well and the broader filmmaking community in general. So this is just a fun video for me. I love nerding out about lighting equipment, and most of my reviews on this channel are about cameras, but today we're talking about a light, and that excites me. Okay, so here's the light. This is it. Obviously you can see it's a pretty compact style light, very similar to like the Aputure MC size. These are gonna be a very similar style of an accent sort of fill light, but the Zhiyun M20C I think has a lot going for it that the MC lacks, and let's talk about that. First is just gonna be raw output. This thing is insanely bright. Let me turn this to even just 1% output right now. Okay, this is 1%. This thing is very bright. This is kind of how bright the Aputure MC is at like 50%. So this is 1%, but this light has a cool feature where there's some presets. So if I just click this button one time, it'll switch from 1% output to 50% output, and you can just see how bright that is. I mean, that thing is insanely bright at 50% output. And then we'll click to 100%. Okay, that thing is just, I mean, just look at this thing. This thing's lighting up the entire background. This tiny little light that's about the size of the Aputure MC is lighting up this entire space. I mean, it's literally currently overpowering my Aputure P60C that I use to light up my background, which is like 9 times the size. With one click, we'll switch over to RGB mode, and you can tell that this light is absolutely bright enough to be able to light up a full space with color for a sort of RGB colorful look. I typically do this in most of my videos, which is why you can see that blue light in the background, but I absolutely could use this, and this light is way cheaper and way smaller than my Aputure P60C. So my main point about the output is that even though this light is branded as a fill light or maybe an accent light and is about the same size as the MC, which is definitely an accent light, this light is packing plenty of power to be able to use it in a variety of situations and even use it as a key light if you need to. Okay, here's just a quick test in the work studio. I currently have the Zhiyun light over here at 30% power, okay? As I walk over and treat it as a key light. I mean, this thing is so intensely bright that I can't even look in that direction, and it would easily be able to, if we just put up a little bit of a diffusion cloth to be able to soften the light. There's so much output here from the small light. I have a couple of P60Cs over here as backlights, and again, those are super bright, but this is matching that output here at 30%. You also get all the neat effects that you've kind of grown to expect out of these more budget-friendly RGB lights, things like hue loop. So if I just turn the brightness up a little bit, we'll be able to see just the different cycling of the hue colors. So here's a police car effect. This is at 5% brightness, so you'd certainly be able to sell that effect pretty well. Here's a lightning effect that works pretty well. So you get all those standard effects. This light also features an adjustable Kelvin scale, so this is currently at 5600 Kelvin, which is just standard daylight color, but it can go all the way up to 10,000 Kelvin, which is obviously super blue, and then all the way down to, I believe, 2500 Kelvin. Yeah, so very orange. You could set a really nice warm kind of fireplace look with a warm Kelvin temperature like this. So there's a ton of output, a lot of cool effects, great color temperature range, high CRI. It's basically everything you would want out of a light like this. My favorite thing about this light is the different accessories that it comes with to be able to sort of modify the light for different situations that you might find yourself in as a filmmaker. So there are some magnets all the way around the corners of the frame of the light, which correspond to these magnets on the accessories, which allow you to quickly just nest these different accessories on top of each other. So right now we have a layer of diffusion. If we want a little bit of a softer look, not so much of a hard look, there's a layer of diffusion. If we want the light to be even more directional, we can add this grid accessory, which again just snaps right onto the light. And now this light will be more directional and it won't spill on the background as much. And if we need even more directionality that the grid won't provide us, we can add this barn door attachment to be able to shape the light in even more ways, which is not a common thing you see in lights like this. On the back, you also get multiple cold shoe mounting points. You get 3 on the body plus a hot shoe attachment to be able to mount this on top of a camera. And if you release this lock right here, even this cage comes out and you'll be able to have access to just the light itself with no other accessories attached. There are just so many different ways that you can utilize this M20C from Zhiyun. As I compare it to my Aputure MC, which is my kind of other staple budget-friendly small RGB light, there is a lot of the similar effects and some different bicolor temperature, etc. But really the only accessory is this diffuser, which actually cuts out a lot of the output of this light and makes this light not super bright anymore. So this M20C is super bright and has a lot of great accessories. So I just don't really understand why I would reach for the Aputure MC, other than that some of my other lights utilize the Sidus Link app and I can control all of those other lights simultaneously. With this light, you can use an app to control all of the different settings of the light, but I currently don't have any other Zhiyun lights in my my lighting arsenal, so I'd have to open up an entirely different app to control this light, and then use the Sidus Link app for all of my Aputure/Amaran lights and control those with a different app. I don't love that. I wish there was a way that I could link all of these lights together so I'm controlling them all from one app and not have to use different apps to control if I don't want to like physically go over and touch and turn dials. I like the ability to just control from the app, and if I'm in a studio environment, it's really essential for me to do that. And if this light is rigged super high up, I don't want to have to go get a ladder to change the dial, so I'm glad there is an app to begin with, but I wish that app could somehow be integrated with my other lights. A couple quick improvements that I'd like to see. First, this LCD display is super small. It's less than an inch big, and people who have trouble seeing or have to wear glasses or something, it's just a little bit harder to see, and I could see it being a problem for some people. I also don't currently see a way that you can control effects from the app, which that's actually a big bummer. I've been in situations where I wanted to use like a lightning effect or a strobe effect or trigger kind of like a paparazzi effect, like a flashing effect. I need to be able to do that remotely. I need to be able to trigger the timing of that effect. And you currently can't do that with the app, which is definitely a problem. Okay, so now we're in the app. I want to show you a few things that this app can do with this light. There are obviously some quick presets. If you want a tungsten color or a daylight temperature, etc., you can adjust the color temp pretty easily in the app. Of course, you can adjust the intensity. So we're at 100% output and back down to like 1%. One of the coolest things is this color picker that the app has. And I'm currently drinking this vibrant, like sort of coffee drink from BlackRock. If we want a specific color we're going for, we can take the app and point it directly at a color we want to replicate. So when I do that, I can click pick and the light will automatically adjust to whatever color temperature it picks up. So it picked up the reading of this drink, and now it's changed the color temperature to the temperature of the drink. I can change the brightness and the saturation and the color temperature if I need to shift the hue a little bit. So now I have a light that matches the color temperature of this drink, and if I was doing some sort of like product review or product placement and I wanted to match lighting to the product I was reviewing, it's a really cool feature that the app has. I think it'd be really cool if you could somehow map the app to adjust in lighting real time. This would be really cool for virtual production so that you could kind of point the camera at an LED wall or a certain scene that if the color temperature or the lighting in the scene changes, the light would correspond in real time. Currently, what you have to do is you have to click the pick button before the color temperature changes. But if you could have the color temperature of the light continuously changing as the readout of the camera changes, this would kind of produce a real-time effect, which would just be super cool for things like virtual production. Sorry, I know that's a lot. We're getting real nerdy here and kind of technical, but I really like lighting. Lighting is essential for creating a nice cinematic, pleasing image. And this light is clearly a really good tool to get quality results for filmmakers. This light now should be available for the public to purchase. I'll be sure to link it down in the description below if you're interested. Thank you guys so much for taking time to watch this video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for many more videos coming on this channel. Much love.